Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. Ukraine has pledged to reinforce its armed forces in the wake of Russian missile attacks that have left 14 people dead and 97 others wounded. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine is reported to have discussed the situation with US President Joe Biden on Monday. President Zelensky stated subsequently on social media that air defence was now the #1 priority in terms of procurement of defence supplies from the United States. In response, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov has condemned Western support for Ukraine in the war, warning of the danger of uncontrolled escalation in Washington, D.C. and other Western capitals. 76 souls have perished after a boat carrying people trying to flee dangerously high floodwaters capsized in southern Nigeria. The boat, which had more than 80 passengers, overturned in the state of Anambra on Friday as people desperately tried to escape floods that had risen as high as rooftops. Recent flooding in the area had displaced up to 600,000 people, according to the country's National Emergency Management Agency. Anambra is one of 29 out of 36 Nigerian states to encounter acute floods this year. The bishops of Spain have expressed their concern at new legislation aimed at making it easier for gender-confused young people to undergo medical procedures or chemical treatments intended to change the outward appearance of their biological sex. A new draft bill was approved by Spain's cabinet in June. It aims to allow people as young as 16 to freely undergo such life-altering procedures, while those as young as 12 could do so with a judge's authorisation. In a statement, the Bishops' Subcommission for the Family and Defence of Life expressed their firm opposition to the new law, while also expressing compassion for children suffering from gender dysphoria and for their families. The Second Vatican Council began 60 years ago upon October the 11th, 1962. The council was the last time the bishops of the world gathered as an ecumenical council. Now the body responsible for next year's Synod of Bishop in Rome say the anniversary of Vatican II is a moment for, quote, particular grace for the Synod and the Church. In a communique issued this week, the General Secretariat of next year's Synod on synodality said that the Synod itself is a fruit of the Second Vatican Council, and indeed it said one of its most precious legacies. The statement said that the Synod's purpose is to prolong the spirit of the Second Vatican Council and to foster in the people of God a living appropriation of its teaching. A synod is a gathering of a select number of bishops to discuss a particular topic. Next year's Synod on Synodality will take place in October 2023. Meanwhile, Pope Francis took to Twitter this week to urge people to mobilise to achieve the abolition of the death penalty. The tweet marked World Day Against the Death Penalty on October the 10th. Pope Francis said that society can repress crime without definitively depriving those who have committed it of the possibility of redeeming themselves. The organisation that brings the episcopates of Korea, the USA and Japan together to discuss peace on the Korean Peninsula is calling for a fresh wave of dialogue and reconciliation between both North and South Korea. On Sunday, North Korea launched 2 new short-range ballistic missiles towards the East China Sea. In its wake, the Catholic Forum for Peace on the Korean Peninsula 2022 gathered at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. They heard South Korean Bishop Ju Young Kim of Chuncheon stress that the wounds of the conflict remain, but peace will be possible through forgiveness and reconciliation, adding that the Church cannot deviate from the path of peace, even if it is a long and difficult journey. The prelate, who is also president of the National Reconciliation Committee of the Bishops of Korea, expressed his gratitude to those who are committed to peace on the Korean Peninsula and reflected the prayer attributed to St. Francis, saying, "Lord, make us instruments of your peace." Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris will reopen to the public in 2024. It's now 3 years since the historic 13th century church was gutted by fire. Now the French Court of Auditors, who are monitoring its restoration, have issued a new report proclaiming their satisfaction with the progress of the work so far. They also estimate the building will reopen in 2 years. Before the fire, 12 million people visited the church each year. The Court of Auditors believe that figure may go above 14 million a year after restoration. The official song from a new movie chronicling the life and death of the Italian teenager Blessed Carlo Acutis has been released. 15-year-old Blessed Carlo died of leukemia in 2006. He was declared blessed by the church in 2020. Now, a video clip of the official song of the movie Heaven Can't Wait has been released to coincide with the 2nd anniversary of his beatification.
Porque a veces tengo tanto miedo, ¿será que no sé cómo vivir? Un día claro amanece y sabes que te puedes ir.
The movie is due to be released by the end of the year. It highlights the milestones in the life of Blessed Carlo. The movie, which is directed by Spaniard Jose Maria Zabala, features testimonies of 4 young people whose lives have been transformed by the intercession of Blessed Carlo. Meanwhile, the Italian town of Assisi, where the relics of the young blessed are enshrined, is currently witnessing a 5-day celebration in his honour. The festivities include Eucharistic adoration, the inauguration of a soup kitchen, and the release of a book by his mother. On Wednesday of next week, the celebrations will conclude with Holy Mass presided over by the local bishop. Meanwhile, a new biographical film of Mother Teresa will return to movie theatres in November. Mother Teresa No Greater Love has been produced by the Knights of Columbus. It had an opening 2-night run in movie theatres across the US, Canada and the UK this month. Those behind the film say those 2 nights brought in $1.2 million at the box office. Now the film will return to theatres next month. The movie portrays the life of the 20th century Albanian nun who travelled across the streets of Calcutta in India, caring for the unwanted and the sick. The profits from the new film will be donated to charity. Finally, nearly half of all teenagers worldwide have a very favourable opinion of Jesus Christ. That's according to a new survey carried out by the US-based Barna Group. They conducted research among 25,000 teens across the globe from the ages of 13 to 17. According to the study, nearly half of those polled stated that, quote, Jesus is loving. Meanwhile, it was a similar number for the proposition that Jesus offers hope, he cares, is trustworthy, and is generous. The Barna Group is an academic research and resource film based in Dallas, Texas. Well, that's your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.